Week 2 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and it was a week of mostly blowouts with 2 close games sprinkled in there. One of those games ended on Monday night, came all the way down to the wire, and the other game ended in dramatic fashion on Sunday Night Football. But first, we got to talk about some injuries. It was a tough week for tight ends in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League. Greg Olson went on IR with a broken foot. He broke something. And he's on IR. He'll be out for 8 weeks while they figure out what it is that he broke and then how to get it all healed up. Also, Gronk, Jordan Reed, Jimmy Graham, and Tyler Eifert all got banged up during the week, and their statuses are unclear going forward for Week 3. Also, for good measure, Jordy Nelson, John Brown, and Jordan Howard got banged up and or did not play. High scorer this week was Tom Brady, who scored 37.8 points to lead Bootleg Crableg to the biggest score of the week. I did it again with the biggest score of the week thing, but we're going to leave it in there. That's called a callback. The Bootleg Crableg beat the shit out of the Toddler Fight Club this week by 66.2 points. That was the biggest blowout of the week. And Toddler Fight Club is just looking like a big giant mess right now. One of our key matchups from last week was actually one of these 20-plus point blowouts. The Schwartz beat Beer Muscles by 21.8 points by a score of 140 to 118.2. The Schwartz goes to 2-0. They are the only team in the league who scored over 140 points in both weeks and currently have a 1.6 points lead after 2 weeks of the season. So welcome to the league, Mark, you son of a bitch. Now, we already talked about the highest scoring team in the league this week. Way to go, pretty boy. But it's actually the second highest scoring team who's this week's hero. In the other key matchup of 2 former champions from the Porter Division, the Gotham Rogues trailed the Moth by 39.3 points going into Sunday Night Football. Now, the Gotham Rogues had 2 players left to play, Ty Montgomery and Matt Bryant, and 39.3 points to make up on the Moth. Now, when you have 40 points to make up and one of your guys is a kicker, you're sweating. So the game is played and Ty Montgomery goes nuts. Matt Bryant, puts up a 14, which is pretty good for a kicker. And the duo combines for 43 points, giving the Gotham Rogues a dramatic come-from-behind Sunday night 3.7 point win over the Moth, pushing his record to 2-0 to the top of the Porter Division, the only remaining undefeated team in the Porter Division with just 2 games in the season. And for that, the Gotham Rogues are this week's hero. So, okay, our other close game came all the way down to Monday night, went all the way down to the wire. But it wasn't quite as exciting or dramatic as the hero story, but that's kind of the way GOAT stories go. And I knew that after the pathetic performance these 2 teams put up with, the lowest game total of the week, whoever was going to lose this game was definitely going to be the GOAT. So going into Monday Night Football, Sweep the Leg led Rusty Strombone by a score of 100.9 to 91.8. Okay, the Rusty Strombone had Theo Riddick left to go, and Sweep the Leg actually made a smart decision. They, maneuvered their roster so that they had a choice between Odell Beckham and Eric Ebron on Monday night, just in case Odell Beckham couldn't go. Ebron would be able to be slotted in there. He was the only other guy playing on Monday night. Gave himself an option. Smart move. However, when it came down to pick who to play, Odell Beckham or Eric Ebron, he made a very stupid pick and chose Odell Beckham, and Eric Ebron went off for 15 points on the bench, which would have sealed the game. It wouldn't have even been a concern. However, Odell Beckham didn't really perform that well. Theo Riddick started to get a couple catches towards the end, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough for Rusty Strombone to overcome the lead that Sweep the Leg had. And the final score was 108.5 to 98.5, a 10-point win for Sweep the Leg. And Rusty Strombone, while both teams, to be fair, made pretty bad roster management decisions in this game that cost them both points, it was Rusty Strombone's roster mismanagement that ultimately cost him the game. benching Carlos Hyde in favor of his man crush Eric Decker, and for that, the Rusty Strombone is this week's GOAT. Speaking of bench points, Sweep the Leg won this game despite leaving 30 plus points on the bench this week, most of which came from a brand new waiver acquisition who just got onto the roster and sat on the bench all week. So we felt like this was as good a time as any to introduce a brand new segment to you guys. So with more on the waiver wire moves and their impact, their immediate impact on the week that they were picked up, here is our brand new segment, Live Wire, with your host, Mr. Bobby J.
This is Bobby J. Welcome to our first edition of Live Wire, where we examine all the hits and misses off the waiver wire this week. This week, Sweep the Leg picked up Buck Allen from the Baltimore Ravens, who went off for 21.1 points. Unfortunately, Buck Allen was sitting on his bench. You done fucked up, AA Ron. Fortunately for our esteemed commissioner, it didn't hurt him because he won his matchup anyway. That's all for Live Wire this week. We'll see you next time something exciting happens off the waiver wire. I'm Bobby J. Back to you in the studio, Dave.
All right, thanks very much, Bobby. Beautiful job. Welcome to the show. So that's Live Wire, and you'll see that segment anytime a waiver wire pickup makes an impact in that same week's game. We felt like the waiver wire moves were just as important as anything else, so why not give them a little bit of attention? That was Bobby's idea, and it's actually a really good idea, so he's the man to do the gig. All right. Moving right along. Key matchups. We have 3 teams who are still undefeated, so we have 3 key matchups. And all of these matchups are division matchups. The first one is the Schwartz, who sits at 2-0, taking on Rutherford B. Hazy, who sits at 0-2. That's a number 2 division matchup. The second one is a Porter division battle between the Gotham Rogues, who sit at 2-0, and I'm with Stupid, who is at 1-1. And our final key matchup is between 2-0 Sweep the Leg versus 1-1 Beer Muscles, a number 2's division matchup. So there you have it, guys. Week 2 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember to do the poll. Oh shit, I forgot to talk about the poll. So here it is. The results of the poll, because everything works out this way. Instead of 3 people voting, last week 3 people voted in the poll. This week, I appreciate it, 4 people voted in the poll, and all 4 of them voted for somebody else. So what that means is the poll was a 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 tie for which team with no wins has the best roster. So there's hope, guys. Every single one of you guys got a vote. You may have voted for yourself. Nobody needs to know. So vote in the polls, goddammit. And I'll see you next week for It's Always Sunny.